What's good, y'all? It's Zay, back holding it down. Welcome back to another Yap Chat. Uh, we have the book, Iceberg Slim, Pimp, Story of My Life. Now, this is an autobiography by the legendary pimp, Iceberg Slim. It goes through many of his trials and tribulations, from growing up in Chicago, his mother leaving his stepfather, him ending up getting involved in kind of this sex ring thing where he would smash the wives of white men in front of them, and they pay him to do it, to turning his or breaking his first girl and bringing his first girl into a stable, to building a reputation as a pimp, meeting other pimps, and building a stable, taking advice from other pimps, and becoming more cruel and cold-hearted as a person, and then losing women in his stables. A lot of his theories and ideologies on women are in this book, and just you can tell by the way that he speaks of certain people in a certain manner, calling them squares, suckers, calling women the F word. I could spell it out, the FAG word. And when they basically don't want to do what he wants them to do, and a lot of other tales and adventures, disrespecting women, going to prison, escaping prison, coming out of prison. And what eventually makes him reform isn't all the stints that he's done in prison, going to the hole, almost losing his mind because he's going insane, on a 23-1 lockdown in a dark room. What makes him reform and change his ways is the love for his mother, and how once he got out, she was on her deathbed and asked him to do something good with the rest of his life and get married and have children. So Iceberg Slim, of course, is a legend in many regards, to writing this book and going into a dark world that many haven't seen or heard of before this book was written. Though you go through it and you realize that he's a prideful, egotistical, sometimes envious person, wanting to be the best pimp, wanting to be the only pimp that a woman needs, though also letting her know that he does not need her, letting them know that there's nothing that a woman can do to hurt him in any manner, that his ideologies, that being a sucker isn't okay, being a square isn't okay, having a regular job working for somebody just isn't okay. How doing anything that breaks his codes and standards isn't okay. And he does what he has to do in order to get his way and what he wants. Whether that is beating a woman and giving her all types of drugs afterwards to soothe her pain and make her become addicted to him, to staging a fake death that kind of scare off one of his women in his stable and pinning it on her, even though it was staged, and running off with a sufficient amount of money. Or even to where he was locked down going to prison multiple times, and he just couldn't seem to get it through his head that it was his fault that he was there. He blamed it on women that got him in trouble, instead of what he was doing with these women is the reason that he was in trouble. He got involved with a lot of dangerous people. He was a dangerous person. And not necessarily saying that he was harming people. He was harming women. Though not to say that he was like a killer or something, like a psychomaniac, though he was maniacal in the way that he treated women. And a lot of it has to do with ego. After seeing his mother leave his stepfather, and which was the only man that he ever really loved, and seeing the only woman that he ever loved leave his stepfather for another man who ends up taking her money and beating her and leaving her bloody. He eventually runs into that man, and it's not good for him. Let's just say that. He runs into that man and he kind of puts the beats on him. Though the resentment that he carried for his mother for a long time, even though believing that he loved her, ended up causing him to neglect her. And she didn't want anything to do with him because of the way that he treated women. She didn't want anything. She thought he was no good and he wasn't going to be able to ever get married or have children because of the person that he was. And because of the things that he thought women were, the beliefs that he held against women. And not only against women, against hardworking, respectable men who were actually, in a sense, the villain to his story, because he would compare himself every time he saw someone with the life that he should be living. He respected the pimps, though deep down inside, he wanted to be just like the square. That's why he kind of talks about the square in such a harsh manner, because he's deep down envious, though he's too prideful to admit it. He can't let his ego go. He has to be this grand, lavish pimp. He has to live in luxury. He has to have a woman on his side. He has to have a peace. So you can't find peace in yourself until you admit the truth to yourself and you wake up and you realize that you're harming the people that you love, because he even admits that he has an emotional debt to his mother, which he couldn't fulfill because she was passing and wasn't going to see him be able to get married and have children. She wasn't a grandmother by the time she passed. So what we can learn from this book is that sometimes we need to drop our pride and our ego, because it's leading us into a life that is damaging to not only others, but also ourselves internally, which is making us hurt other people, hurt people. And that's the lesson of this book. All right. Do what you do to any old other regular YouTube video. Y'all already know what that is. The like, share, comment, subscribe. I don't got to tell you to do that. It's a pretty short video. So I thank y'all for staying tuned and sticking through with me. That's about it. Peace.